when I break down Reggie McKenzie, when I think about Reggie McKenzie's lasting legacy on the Oakland Raiders, it's going to be this. He left the franchise in a much better position than he got them. He left them with 5 first-round picks. He left them with $70 million guaranteed cap space, with potential to make another 100, get over 120 cap space based on different moves they can make by cutting these flexible contracts that he signed players to. So whoever goes in there, which, by the way, the Raiders don't expect to have anyone in there until probably after the draft, probably after May, which, yeah, John Gruden's going to be calling all the shots on the draft. Shocker. Point is, Reggie McKenzie pretty much took your beater 92 Ford Explorer and turned it into like a 2006 Toyota Camry, which is a pretty big step up. I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, no one here is trying to, me especially, is not jumping out the bag to drive a Toyota Camry. No disrespect if you drive a Toyota Camry, but you know what I mean. Like, it's a regular basic thing. That's kind of where the Raiders are. But considering where they were before, considering they lost a lot of their legacy, culture, reputation, good or bad, when their late owner died, they needed a captain to steer the ship, and that's pretty much what Reggie McKenzie did. So McKenzie's lasting legacy is going to be whatever the Raiders are moving forward, which falls into the hands of 2 people, Gruden, and even more, especially the Tommy Boy, bowl cut wearing, yellow teeth, Hooters wings eating, Astrovan driving. I think he still drives the Astrovan, whatever he drives. Mark Davis, once the laughingstock of the league, is now about to have a $2 billion stadium and a $1 billion franchise with a long history, and he's going to be the sole shot caller. That's what Reggie McKenzie's legacy is going to be, because for the past, 6-7 years, he's been pretty much not only Mark Davis's personnel guy, second in command, calling the shots of the franchise, but basically a mentor. I mean, think about it. Think about any family business. It's hard to learn from your dad. It's hard to take your dad's business on, period. Now imagine your dad being the egotistical, narcissist, old man that was, old and legendary man that was Al Davis. I can imagine it was hard for Mark Davis to learn anything from Al. So he needed someone to fill that gap, and that was Reggie McKenzie. And he did that for 6 years. So Reggie McKenzie has left the Raiders at a good spot, and now it's pretty much Mark Davis's spot to fuck up. But yeah, beyond all that, I'm going to walk off by saying this. Mark Davis, stop talking about Amari Cooper. We get it, dude. Reggie McKenzie, he did the best he could. You wanted that trade, so now don't be talking shit like you didn't want the trade and you're shocked and wish they would have got more. Moreover, just keep all the Raiders players you traded. Like, I don't want to hear anything from Gruden about Khalil Mack anymore. I don't want to hear anything about Amari Cooper. And when they trade Derek Carr and when they cut Gabe Jackson and Kalichi Osamili, I don't want to hear about those guys. Like, it's time to move on. You made your bed. It's time to lay in it. You guys are these great personnel minds. So stick to your decisions. And finally, y'all boys, your LA Rams, Mr. Jared Goff, Kenny laughed me out of this damn stadium when I said, I didn't even say it. All I did was not disagree with the fact that Jared Goff might be a system quarterback. And Kenny literally laughed me out of my chair. Well, guess what? Jared Goff has looked like a system quarterback the last 2 games. And guess what? The Rams have choked to 2 NFC contenders. And they've lost to the only 3 teams that are really up there with them in the NFC. And a lot of people are saying, Jared Goff might be a system quarterback. Because if you actually look at Jared Goff play, don't get me wrong, he's a decent athlete. He's got good arm strength. Like, he does his progression. He gets the ball out quick. But if you're watching him now in the Sean McVay days, a lot of his first reads are there. Like, he snaps the ball and his receiver's already open. He locks into him a lot like a quarterback I watch every Sunday, Derek Carr. And they're open. They're open because he has a great coach, a great scheme, and he has solid playmakers, great playmakers around him. So, of course, Jared Goff looks great. But now, when shit's not popping off, when his coach is making errors, when they're missing Cooper Kupp, when things aren't going perfect, Todd Gurley struggling again like he was under Jeff Fisher, 2 games ago? Point is, Jared Goff hasn't proven he can win them a game on his own. And until then, I'm going to be skeptical of the Rams, as I was from week 1. And yeah, you can look it up. Shout out to all the people I was talking to, man, even before the Saints game. I told you. The Rams are a great team. Don't get me wrong. They don't have any weaknesses. But they have yet to beat a team that's better than them. They've yet to roll through shit. And now they're going against the hot Bears, lost. Super Bowl contending Eagles with their back against the wall, and they lost. And so they're right now, if the playoffs ended today, they'd be looking like that team that's going to get bounced on a Saturday night of a divisional playoffs like 30-13. So the Rams, they got to get their shit together. And luckily, they have 2 garbage time games coming up versus the Cardinals and the 49ers. But if they struggle, if either one of those teams is able to make their season by just making the Rams a little bit more insecure about themselves, LA, you got to wake up, man. Y'all might be on the wrong bandwagon. Shout out to Marcellus Wiley for sharing out that meme. Wouldn't surprise me if Kenny walks in here with a Charger beanie next week. But yeah, man, the Rams got to get their shit together. I'm sure they will. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not slandering Jared Goff. You can look at my archive. After the Jeff Fisher era, I was one of the few people that said it was not time to give up on Jared Goff. You can check the archive on that. So, without further ado, I'm PD Camarillo. This has been Touchdowns and Tangents, my first solo edition. Shout out to Kenny for the call-in. Shout out to Andrew for being in the chat. And I guess I'll just get to my rant, but I don't need to mute anyone. Pretty much, man, it's crazy. Your horoscopes, your astrology, like I don't always believe in that stuff, but sometimes it's really crazy when things align. Like earlier this month, I remember reading that this exact day would be a big day in my horoscope, and I was like, okay, what does that mean? Turns out, not only am I here having my first real solo podcast, which, if you followed my career trajectory, once upon a time, as we've talked about the inception of this show, back in the day, I used to talk about the Raiders, like, on a solo podcast. It was about 20 minutes long. I would just talk about the Raiders headlines, and it was kind of trash. Today might have been kind of trash. If you think that, I wouldn't blame you. But it's been a while since I've been in this booth alone, so I'm going through growing pains. But besides all that, point is, I've come a long way. I've gotten a lot better. I think Marcellus Wiley said it. Max Kellerman said it. And I've even said it when Kenny has come in here and sat by himself. Being your own radio show, being a one-man show, being a solo show, not having someone else beside you to talk to fill that air with is a lot. It's a lot. It's hard. It's the hardest job. Which, by the way, man, shout out to Keith for doing it every single Monday here from the Good News radio station. And shout out to Kenny for actually doing it on his own as well. Point is, man, I'm just happy to be here. And honestly, I'm not going to lie. Like, I do appreciate having Kenny do this with every single week because for reasons that Kenny can't always control. Like when we first started this show, we didn't even really have a set date of when we would do it. Sometimes it'd be Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. I mean, it just really kind of depended on our schedules, mostly Kenny's. But since we've transitioned to the Good News radio station, I can honestly say Kenny's never been late. He always shows up here regardless of if he has work or not. And just having that sort of reliability as a co-host is something that I really enjoy. And the fact that I get to come on here and have a real conversation with him and some of my other friends is a glorious opportunity. And doing it solo, well, it's great. It's fun. It's not the same. It's not the same. It's not the same without having that post-show laugh and conversation and being like, today was a great show, or today was okay, or whatever, and just having that ride home, or having that hood Chinese after, or that drink, or whatever. That's what this podcast is great for. And even beyond that, some personal news. I got a big announcement coming up soon. I don't want to jinx it or fuck it up or get my conflict of interest fully out there just yet until it's official. But yeah, stay tuned for that. Also, man, hopefully all this car shit is coming to an end soon. If you've caught my Twitter one-offs, you'd know that this has been a really overwhelming process for me and has really affected my entire mental health. And I've really just been going through shit. Mostly because I don't have a reliable car, because that's kind of what LA is. Like, you need to have a car to get around, which makes what Kenny does here every single week even more magnificent. Because, dude, basically goes across the whole LA area on a bus, which is not easy. Which also makes great bus stop chronicles. So shout out to that. Can't wait to hear some BART stop chronicles. So Kenny, get on that BART, observe some shit, take some video, because I know there's crazy shit going on over there. There always is. And lastly, since I know I'm rambling, this whole Kanye shit, man. I know Joe wouldn't do his bag about it, but yeah, I know I talked about it last week on the rant too, but I just wanted to say this. I wouldn't put it past Drake or Travis or Kanye or any of these dudes that all this shit is fabricated. All this shit is for clout, which would be mad ironic, mad stupid, and mad predictable. So if that is the case, man, hip-hop got to get their shit together and start being better, because you guys are trying to play the game that the young kids are playing, but you're never going to play it as good as the young kids because the young kids grew up with it. And now you guys are just jealous and vulturing and trying to be SoundCloud rappers when you guys have Grammys and, you know, clout and movies and businesses and stuff like that. Like, you guys need to just grow up, is what I'm saying. Like, all you guys. All of hip-hop, you middle-aged cats who are at the top of your game, need to transition into old heads and stop trying to do what the young folk are doing. That's all I got to say on that note. So, touchdowns and tangents, man. I hope you're enjoying the holidays. I hope you're not being a Grinch out there in traffic like everybody else, because the holidays are supposed to be a good time. And so stop cutting people off and not letting people over. Like, we're all in the same traffic you are. We are all trying to get somewhere. We're all trying to see our families. So just be considerate and conscious, man. Like you don't have to celebrate Christmas to do that, but the fact that it is Christmas season should make you more willing to do that. That's all I got to say, man. Good News radio station, FPC Radio, X Squad affiliates, all love. Shout out to all the podcasts, apps, distributors that fuck with us. Like it, share it, love it. Shout out to my boy Woo. He's going to pull up next week. He was going to pull up today, but decided to wait so we can get some video and photo of me and Kenny, because we need some updated shit. But yeah, man, shout out to everyone who fucks with us. Touchdowns and tangents. Thanks to Kenny for calling in. Stay safe out in the Bay. Don't get in trouble. The Clippers are beating the Mavs on this Thursday night, because there's no Thursday night football. So hopefully you actually listen to this shit live.